Hello everybody and welcome back to Full Throttle Drive. Thank you so much for joining me on today's video. So as you can see, we are continuing our video series on wrapping my Audi R8, and it's been a lot of fun and we've learned quite a bit, but we've definitely had our setbacks. Both we've had a roof and a hood failure while making this series, and it's been really tough, but we've learned from it, and now we finally have those pieces done along with a few small side pieces with the side panel and side skirt. But today we are going to actually go ahead and work on the passenger door. We've watched a few videos, and while it looks tough, we think we can get it done. Now, I've never removed the mirror before, so this mirror stock actually has to be removed because what we're going to do is we want one long piece. We don't want it cut up by this mirror. That way it can just go on easier with less chances of failure. So that is going to be our first thing to do. And again, thank you for joining us on today's video. As I said earlier, we have never actually removed this mirror cover, and that's what we have to do to get access to everything. And I've read on the forums and watched a video on kind of how to do it, and it looks pretty straightforward, but again, I've never done this before, so it's going to be interesting. I am getting a bit of conflicting information as far as what Torx sizes to use on the interior of this, but we'll figure it out as we go, and then I can provide you with that information. But first and foremost, we got to pop this front lens kind of area off, and then we should have access to the motor. So as you can see, you can use some sort of pry technique. I just use my fingers. It's really hard to get back under there. I think a pry tool would have been better. Put something there to protect your paint on the mirror cover, but that would probably be your best bet. But I was just barely able to get my fingers back there. I actually put the mirror all the way to the edge to give me the most clearance there. But as we get to here, you can see this is what we need to remove. And there's some different pieces here that we're gonna actually pull off. They are not labeled positive or negative. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a picture, and that will help me recreate as I put this, reassemble it back together. I know exactly where things should go. So just a quick heads up, these are really hard to get off. I had to use a lightly amount of pressure with my pliers, but they finally did pop off. They're just on there really good. They're just nice and tight, which is a good thing, but they're very difficult to get off. Then you get to this, and this should be just kind of a disconnect, and you just actually pull back these little tabs, and then it should pull out. And just like that, you have the front piece of the mirror off. It is much harder than it looks. You got to be really careful. You don't want to pull these wires out of this housing. So you got to make sure it, as you saw, my brother came to help me because I couldn't do it by myself. Holding the back two tabs off and pulling. And again, you don't want to pull one of these out of socket. So taking this off, you got to take some really good care and time and make sure you do it correctly. Now I'm just going to figure out what size of Torx this is. We're going to start with 20 and go down to 15. So it does look like it is Torx 20. A T20 is what you need. And there are 3 in here, 1, 2, 3, and then there's actually going to be a 4th one below that we can get to, and that will loosen the whole housing. So I've got all 4 out, and then you have an Allen key that you need to be very careful. From what I've read, this is the last piece to go ahead and unloosen. I got this now going loose. This will actually allow the stock to come loose. So I need to figure out what size. Again, I don't know what size it is yet, so we'll figure that out. So I finally figured it out, and it is a 3mm Allen key, and all you got to do is put it in there, and as I said, we got to be really, really careful. I can tell that it's tight, so I'm going to probably use my pliers, get it nice and set, and then just try to break it free very, very slowly. So, and just like that, we have it all ready. It should be a little bit looser. Yep, I can go ahead and move it all the way back. And from there, we just start pulling off the components, and you'll see that as we go along. So now that I've gotten this piece kind of wiggled free, and it's pretty easy, I have access back here, and then there's this small little wire that's just clipped in. It looks like that, and it should just go ahead and come apart. Might have to continue just being really careful with some pliers and work it free. Yep, I can see it coming. There we go. And that one is free. Now there is a very difficult one on the bottom that I can see is going to be a pain. There's two tabs that hold it together. And this one, I can tell, it's not going to be a fun one. There we go. And that's released. Should come up. So, and there's one left in the back. It should just push in and the tab should come out. We finally got all of the different tabs pulled off. This one, just for hindsight, is very tricky. You have to push on the end of this tab on this side where my fingernail is and wiggle it out at the same time. So if you can take like a screwdriver with a flathead, put some leverage on it so it's pushing outwards away from the tab, and you push the tab down as well, it will slide out. But once you get all these done, this should be pretty straightforward. This should just come on out. So there you have it. You have your motor for your mirror, and then you have the housing or the cover. And once you just will put this away here, and then this will slide through here. Now, if you need to go ahead and remove this whole piece, it should just be, I believe I heard some T27s, and that will actually get us access to that, which I think we're gonna go ahead and do. We were gonna leave it on there, but I think that will take this piece off for where the stock is, and that'll give us a little more access to the actual door area. So all we have left to do is actually make sure that this stays out of the way, but we are going to go ahead and prep the door. Again, I can't reiterate this enough. You want to make sure your surface is absolutely clean, and you don't want it to have any wetness after you've cleaned it. So make sure it's 100% dry after you've prepped it, because if there is any bit of water or even just debris in general, it will make that tackiness go away on the back of the film, and that is what keeps you in business. So make sure you do that each time. As you can see, we have the sheet on, and this is going to be the toughest part. What we've seen is this is a very open spot, which means there's a huge concave. This is all open area. You don't want to stretch it a ton. CK Wraps did this vehicle, and he talked about this because the more you stretch it, the more there is the possibility of failure. So we've really got to be easy. So we're going to work our way from the bottom up, and that way we can work in the slack. The problem is as we work in the slack here, we're going to get extra slack over here. So it's going to be really tough. We'll see. Again, we've never done the door before. This is our first go, but hopefully we'll have some good luck with it. It's not as big of a piece as the other sides, so we're hoping we're okay on this, but you'll see as we go along. funny enough, we are actually having a pretty easy time in perspective with the side passenger door, because in all honesty, this is what scared us the most from what we had read and heard and really just watched in general when doing our research on how to wrap the Audi R8. This door is what worried us, that concave, all that slack that you need to use. But so far, working from your bottom up has proved to be pretty helpful. So that's the way we've been doing it. We still have a little bit of the door to do. I would say another maybe 5, maybe 6 inches until we are all the way up. Now I still got a little bit to do over here, and then working around the handle is gonna be a little bit tough. I actually need to go and tape that off. I just thought about that. I need to tape it off so that backing of this vinyl wrap does not want to stick to the door handle. We do have the door handle already wrapped, you probably noticed that, but we need to go ahead and tape it off so that it just doesn't catch that. But again, knock on wood, so far everything's going pretty easy. Comparative to the hood and the roof, this isn't too bad.
You stole my heart of gold after my silver soul. Can you dig any deeper now? I gave you all I own, put you on this golden throne, but I'm a little stronger now. You cashed in on my promises, you know I'm too generous.
As you can see, we now have the door, I would say like 85% done. Most of it is laid. We're gonna cut a little hole right here so we can feed the wires through, and then that way we can finish up laying it. And then obviously one of the longest parts is just getting everything pushed in and then cut. It's that detail, that fine detail at the end that takes a lot of time. But it went pretty well. I was really impressed with we've gotten better. We figured out some of the techniques that make you a little bit better, and it just goes on easier as you figure it out. But very happy with how it turned out. It looks really good, and now we're starting to see the whole car start to come together. Once we get those rear quarters on, we'll really be able to tell the difference and see the full color on the car. So really excited so far. It's day 2 and we are just getting back to work and finishing all the small touches we have left on the Audi's passenger door. And guys, this is the first time we're kind of seeing it all together, and it looks so good. I'm really happy with this color so far, and we haven't seen it in true daylight yet, so I think it's gonna look even better outdoors with all the natural sunlight. But I'm really impressed so far. And other than obviously some issues we've had, we really are learning as we go. This door was not near as hard. It is a little tough though. You have to get really, really precise in some of these corners. And this is not wanting to come down under this trim. Some of the trim areas on this car are really small, and so it doesn't really like getting pushed under there. It's just not as easy as we thought it would be, but that's okay. We're getting there, and again, learning as we go, but so far, overly happy. The other thing that I have actually noticed, and you guys have probably seen the wheels, is we're gonna have to change the wheel color. The current color that they are, this kind of lighter gray, kind of satin color, is just not gonna work. I think dark black wheels are gonna look really good, and we're gonna match some of this black accent, as well as possibly doing something with the mirrors. We're not sure if we're gonna wrap them this color or if we're gonna two-tone them, maybe even a carbon fiber wrap to help match the carbon fiber. I did a lot of research on looking at carbon fiber mirrors for the Audi R8, and they all come from China. Like they don't look that great. I'm not 100% sold. A lot of them use tape. They don't actually have the screw holes. I don't want that. I want that motor to be tightened down with the normal screws. So we'll have to see. I think really wrapping my just OEM mirror cover is going to be the best option so far, but we'll see as we go along. We still have quite a bit to do, especially the exhaust install. Still waiting on the exhaust. We're kind of figuring out the idea of what we want to do on that, but so far wrapping is it's going for sure. So as you can see, we actually finished the passenger door all the way, and the reason you didn't see any of that is because we did not realize that our memory card had filled up, and so the camera just automatically stopped recording because obviously there was no space left. But we did get it all finished and it looks really good. I don't know why we were so worried about this panel, especially after hearing how difficult it was and then having issues with both the hood and the roof. But luckily, for the most part, this went fairly smooth. We made sure not to get too much of stretch in here. And honestly, we really didn't have almost any stretch at all. Now, getting in the door handle was a little bit tough, but once you take some time and really figure out how to make it work, it looks really good, and we're seeing some really cool colors. Now, something interesting, we got a comment left on a previous video saying that if you don't actually put this all in the same direction, that it will look very odd. And I've seen some different types of wrap that actually have directionality to them, and usually it's one that changes colors in the sense that the front of the car looks different than the back of the car in color. This is just all about the sunlight angle, and from what we can tell, I didn't see any directionality that really goes with this. So we kind of did some lighting tests and everything seems to look fine. So until we get it actually in the sunlight, we won't know, but for the most part, I think I'm not too worried about that. But thank you for the person that commented on that. We will take that into consideration. But so far, it seems like we're gonna be okay on that. So everyone, thank you so much for joining us. We truly are enjoying this project and we have a bunch more content to do, as well as another side project that we're working on to get out for you guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, please support us. Hit that thumbs up and make sure that you comment below on anything that you want to leave us. We always try to comment back to all of our followers. Also, remember to hit that notification bell in the bottom right-hand corner. And if you're new to Full Throttle Drive, make sure you subscribe. We would absolutely love to have you on our community. And as always, take care. We'll see you next video.